YouTube, what the crap's going on? Hopefully 60 frames per second. I've got it set to record that way, and I've seen some of the 60 frame per second videos on YouTube now. I think it only works on certain browsers and not on even mobile yet. But where I have gotten to see it, it seems like it looks really nice. I got to watch some Halo 2 anniversary videos today that were in the 60 frames, and normally it's not a big deal for me between 30 and 60 frames a second, but there's some of those games that it really does kind of make it look better. But I think for the most part, I don't see a big difference. But hey, you all asked for it, and I'll do what I can to provide it. So I'm playing as a Nervii, and patch 15 consistent. I've got a lot of infantry. I believe I have 3 Oathsworn, nice group of Fierce Swords, and then 3 Celtic Warriors, 4 Mighty Horse, which are great kind of, well, it'll probably call them heavy horsemen, I'm guessing. No, medium. Wow. So they've got great stats. They're just medium mass. And then I've got 2 Levy Freemen and 2 Celtic Skirmishers. I'm going to be supporting my spears with a unit of Celtic Skirmishers. And Levy Freemen and the Celtic Skirmishers are great counters to these raiding horsemen, which I absolutely expected from Tylis. So when playing against Tylis, you almost always expect a bunch of raiding horsemen because they're great cav. And then they like to spend the rest of their money on infantry, typically between tribal warriors, Thracian warriors, and Oathsworn. They've got some pretty brutal infantry. Looks like he's holding some Thracian warriors in reserve, and he's got some Levy Freemen to protect his flanks. I'm going to take a head-on engagement. This is going to be rough because I'm outmatched, I think, by the tribal warriors and the Oathsworn. Definitely by the Oathsworn. Maybe not by the tribal warriors, but I think I am. So I'm going to have to do something to gain an advantage in this fight, and one of those advantages should come right here. I'm going to be able to punch through this tribal warrior, and I can at least match this Oathsworn here. And then on this flank, this Oathsworn is going to be able to put pressure here. And then I'm going to swing my horsemen around both flanks as well. This is going to cause the spears to retreat and guard his backlines. All the while, I just want to keep it. See how I'm creating a buffer distance between the back of my infantry and his raiding horsemen. And this is typical. People want to charge your skirmishers. Go ahead. They're skirmishers, and the whole reason I bring them is just to slow you down. And raiding horsemen are great, and they can probably kill these skirmishers, but it's just wasting their time and ammo. And that's really what I want here. And if my Celtic skirmishers return any fire, then the raiding horsemen are going to be in trouble. And notice how I get my guys back in time to guard here. And now I've got horsemen around the flanks. This is drawing his Thracian warriors again away from the fight. The fight in the center is not going great for me, though. I have to drop my general's ability, which is force concentration here. I meant to drop the one that makes your guys stay in the fight longer, but this will work. It'll make my Fierce Swords get a few more kills before they die to these Oathsworn, and I did lose to these tribal warriors right here, or I'm about to. I've got my Oathsworn general, though. His general punched through, but now my general's here and fresh, and is about to get some nice attacks. And then right here, his spearmen were in position to defend, but not quite enough, and I'm going to get a nice rear charge on these tribal warriors, and it's going to be fairly devastating. And his general is now in huge trouble because he's getting charged by my Oathsworn general, who is completely fresh and has higher attack because of that general's ability. So his Oathsworn general here is going to get wrecked. But one of my Fierce Swords is getting wrecked, so I'm driving home as many Hammer and Anvil strikes as I can to try and even this fight out. He's going to reinforce with Thracian warriors, definitely a good idea. And I'm going to have to try and get out of here with my cavalry before they get bogged down and killed. All the while, his raiding horseman has been distracted and held up by my spears. The best thing he could have done was just tried to get them up close enough to where they could throw javelins into the back of my guys, not even charge them. I wouldn't have used any javelins against my other men. I would have just tried to unload some javelins in the back of my men, and they could have been useful. They're still a dangerous unit in the rear charge, but my Mighty Horse are going to be a little more dangerous. So, as you can see right now, my opponent is doing fairly well on this flank, and then I'm wrapping him up on this flank. My Oathsworn's over here mopping up the rest of his spearmen. He has one Oathsworn holding out valiantly here, but his Oathsworn general is now, I believe, dead. We'll look and see here, but I believe he's dead. Yeah, I believe the general's dead. I can't get a unit to stand still long enough for me to check, but anyway, again, you can see him. My spears are in his way back here, and he keeps trying to get rid of them. And I just keep chasing him with my Levy Freemen, and it's hard for him to use his raiding horsemen the way he wants here. You can see his raiding horsemen have been thrown in for rear charges over here, and are not doing as well as he would hope, I think. And his raiding horsemen here are now in trouble because they're all surrounded by my units. Trying to get some rear charge penalties for this Oathsworn. I come in and then drop my next general's ability, which makes my men unbreakable for a period of time. And this is not what my opponent needs. His general is gone, my general is still alive, and now my units are unbreakable for a short period of time, which means that this Fierce Swords here is going to really stick in the fight even longer against this Oathsworn, which is not what he needs. He needs to start getting some of my units off the battlefield so his remaining tribal warriors can try and get the job done. Now they're getting rear charged, as well as his Thracian warriors here. This is not going to be good. The tribal warriors can hold out against this kind of thing, and here they are in shield wall. You can see they have 84 melee defense in shield wall. But slowly my opponent's line is crumbling. I've got these Oathsworn out here surrounded. My Oathsworn ended up winning that fight. They got assistance, of course. Yeah, here comes my Oathsworn in from uphill advantage, just slightly. So his tribal warriors are in big trouble, and I had saved Headhunt, so now I'm going to pop Headhunt and really start ripping into these tribal warriors. And they're also outflanked. But again, tough units. They're not going to give up immediately. Yeah, you can see this flank is really about to finally turn over for me. Very tough fight from his Oathsworn. And I've still got 3 Mighty Horse left, although they're severely depleted. I thought I was rear charging, but I'm actually just rear charging my own men. So I don't know what good that's doing me. But those tribal warriors are starting to waver. These Oathsworn, now he had Headhunt left, but as did I on my general. So both of our Oathsworns in Headhunt right now. These Fierce Swords, though, really hanging in there a long time. Not quite as good, probably, as Sword Followers from the Bowie Eye. I like the Bowie Eye just a little better than the Nervii Eye. The Nervii Eye have some good general's ability, and they're not a bad faction. And the Mighty Horse really are quite nice for the price. They are only medium cav, which kind of stinks from a weight standpoint, but their stats are good. And then if you use them in concert with units like Levy Freeman and Celtic Skirmishers for support, I think you can find yourself finding some good success with them. So this particular fight with Tylis is going to end up turning into my favor. You can see I'm about to get charged from behind by Thracian warriors, though. Not something that you want. And so I'm going to turn these Oathsworn around. My guys are exhausted, but at least I can go ahead and get a straight charge against these Thracian warriors, and I'm going to need it. And I get a nice charge against them, all things considered. They get a nice one against me, too. But then I'm going to immediately come in with these Mighty Horse and wreck these Thracian warriors. Their morale can't stand up to that kind of thing. So, really a pretty close fight. It's going to call it a Pyrrhic victory for me. Again, you can see his raiding horsemen, not bad numbers, all things considered. But when you look at it, my opponent had more units of infantry and cavalry that are harder, not necessarily harder to get kills with, but they're maybe a little more fragile. So like he has 4 Levy Freemen, whereas I only brought 2 of them. And when you think about that, Levy Freemen are great at warding off cavalry and maybe throwing javelins into the back of enemy units, but when they get caught up in a fight with units like Celtic warriors, or like in that one case my Oathsworn, they just get smashed, as you would expect. So when you look at it, his main line was just a little bit less capable than mine. I had enough men basically to match his numbers. We were equal in the number of Oathsworn. Mine ended up getting more kills. Well, I say that, it's actually pretty close. This one did not do so well. This one beasted, and my general also did very well. But if you look at my Mighty Horse, they did pretty well. Again, though, this unit of raiding horsemen here, 136 kills, very respectable. Pretty good here, 73 and 62. But in the end, I was just able to get the job done. Now, I wasn't able to use my Celtic Skirmishers like I'd imagined I would be able to. But again, nice performance here from most of my Fierce Swords. And I say that 2 of them got good performance. The other 2 were pretty sad. But yeah, anyway, all in all, it's a pretty tough fight. Pretty close numbers. Hope y'all enjoyed that one. I think that a big thing that helped sway this in my favor was his general died earlier in that fight. And that is hard on the morale of your men, especially when my general was alive and still dropping those general abilities in a barbarian brawl like that. You don't want to lose your general. You need to keep him alive, and if you lose him, you have to have a way to stabilize that morale, and it can be pretty tricky. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.